going to review sitting again and how to use the upper back in the best position for an upright posture, especially again for active sitting. And this would be certainly the case when you're meditating. So from the side view, remember that we established the base using the pelvis. Whenever the pelvis can roll in this fashion that I'm showing you here, where it's a forward roll of the pelvis, it increases the curve of the lower back spine. If the pelvis cannot roll, the chair then is too low. The surface on which you are sitting is too low. At that point, what you need to do is, of course, raise the chair or that surface, add a cushion or a blanket. Basically, you want the hips a little higher than the knees, or at least even with the knees. Whatever allows the pelvis again to roll, that's the height at which you sit. From there, you open the shoulders, center the head, and you sit. Now what happens to most people is that the weight of the head and the constant habit of rounding the shoulders and flexing or forward bending the spine keeps them out of the proper position. In order for them to come back into the proper position, popularly, we're overusing this lower back. Especially what I would call the rib spine meeting the lower back area, or the thoracolumbar area. That extends or backward bends and seems to be a pivot place where most people are trying to sit straighter from with their head and upper back. What I want people to get an idea of is how to use the upper back properly to open the shoulders and chest to then work on the head and neck position next. So what we would do is we'd use the red cords. Now, the red cord is a 1/2 inch cord, so any color would work. These are the red cords, and you'll see on another section that I've done where we do basically a group of exercises. I'll just review from a side view. Is we want to strengthen the upper back and shoulders in such a position that helps the shoulder no longer be in this forward position. Not only the shoulder blades are open and back, more space between them, but the front of the shoulder and the arm bone are rolled inwards. It's like an internal rotation. And I've seen a lot of people who are very physically active, they overactivate these pec muscles for bench pressing and push-up work and some of the rowing work that's done with the lats muscle. Those are big movers for turning the shoulder, the arm bone inwards. So that natural tendency of overexercising those inward rotating muscles are fighting this proper posture of the upper back, and then we overuse the lower back. And constantly people are fatiguing anywhere from between their shoulder blades all the way down into that upper lower back area. What we want to do is strengthen this upper back. In working with strengthening the upper back, we can use the 1/2 inch red cord or any color that's around a 1/2 inch. This is a general measurement I've been using with most people, and it gives me a pretty good idea of how strong they can use their upper back in the way that will support this posture and not use that thoracolumbar part of the back where the rib spine meets the upper waist spine. So what the first test is that you try doubling the cord at a little bit wider, but around shoulder width to start with. That's usually what most people can do. And there's 3 hand positions. You can do this sitting or standing. You substitute a little bit in the standing position by using the area that I want you to prevent being used, that thoracolumbar area in standing. Sitting, it's a little bit harder, but certainly substitution is there, because what you want to try to do in doing a really strong pulling apart movement like this is to anchor and brace with these front ribs on the sides. You can put your thumbs right on the sides of your ribs, and your smaller little fingers can go on the bumps of the front of the pelvis here. And that area you want to maintain a relationship, and if you maintain that tension of these ribs related to this part of the pelvis, that when you do the pull apart, you won't be able to use this, because you can see how that distance increases, okay? This maintains that, so it's not a matter of pulling the belly in. That doesn't seem to work as effectively, right? It's a matter of a relationship, not a just simple tension. So come back, grab your cords, double them, a little bit longer than, or wider than shoulder width, palms facing down, anchor your shoulder blades down, brace the front, pull apart, and just see what happens. Now some people, there are other deviations, we'll talk about that at another time. But just try a couple of those repetitions and see that you're able to do that without arching that thoracolumbar. Then what you're going to do is you're going to now have your palms facing each other, all right? Try to keep the palms oriented this way, and again, you're going to pull apart, same way. Make sure that the arms don't drop down too much, they stay about shoulder level, and then they come back, okay? And the last one is really difficult, but you keep this same grip. Don't change your grip. You're just changing the rotation of the palms. Now when you put your palms facing up, all right, it's just a test. You're not going to train this way. You might have to widen the grip. But the test is just to see now in this third palm position whether you can anchor your shoulders, brace the front of you, and then pull those apart without that arching of the back, coming back, okay? So you're just wanting to see whether this is available using a 1/2 inch cord. Okay, because now the training is you do those 3 hand positions in the pull aparts, 6, 8, 10 repetition is enough. Just you want to stimulate that postural adaptation, do 2, 3 of those sets. In that, you might find that you can have your hands, as you see me, gripping more narrow as you do the palms down. Then as you come to the next palm, you might have to come out a little bit. And then some people find that when they rotate, and again, don't re-grip the cord. When you rotate, this is really difficult, especially not to prevent that arching. So in this position, you might just walk your hands wider and do that. Now, with bands, you might have to wear a glove or some kind of cloth material because there is some pinching of the rubber. I like not using handles because I can then shorten or lengthen the band as needed. And of course, what's great is you can just work with a single band. Those of us who need to start there, that's where you start. It's not about how heavy it is, it's about using good form, and then progressively you have ways of adding simply more and more resistance to become stronger and stronger. Because what this will give you now is this type of work of strengthening that upper back will give you this position that you'll be able to last in, and this opening of the front will actually extend the spine more easily then constantly using that thoracolumbar area to extend the spine.